Here's the easiest way to bend rubber hoses without kinking them. Let's get into it. With my method, you can get clean results just like this with no kinks in it. I did some research on how to do this and I saw a few different techniques. And the most common one is using spring tube benders for copper tubing like this. And what they do is get one that fits inside the hose like this, and then bend their hose and use something to clamp and hold it in place and then heat it up. However, I got a little bit better of an idea to try out. I'm going to be using a piece of copper wire. That way I can fold it and shape it in any direction I want and it will hold that shape. And the cool thing about the copper wire is it is reusable. I can make more coolant lines again in the exact same size in any different shape I want. My Evo here is getting a Frankenstein turbo setup and I need to make some custom coolant lines. One that runs from here to here and then another one that runs from down here to here. First thing we're going to do here is I'm going to spray down the rubber hose with some WD-40. Now I can stick my copper wire in the hose, and I don't want to stick it all the way in. I want to leave a little bit out, that way I have something to grab onto. I have my banjo fitting right here that the hose is going to attach to, so I'm going to put it right next to it. I can get my first bend over the turbo. My pipe I need to connect to is right here, and get my next bend heading straight toward it. And as you can see, it is not kinked at all in either of the bends. I'm going to give myself a little bit of extra, and I am going to mark where to cut the hose, right on our cut line. There we go, clean cut. And then we'll go ahead and put it back onto the copper wire. Now it's a lot easier to work with a smaller piece, and we will go ahead and form it again. Get my bend here, get my bend here, make sure it's going straight. Now we got two clean 90s, and we can heat it up. See, it's holding its shape perfectly fine, so I can actually heat it up from a distance without having to touch it and getting my hands hot, trying to wear some gloves. So let's get started. Now when I was looking up how they actually do this, it's very similar to the copper wire that I'm using here. They get a metal form, and with the metal form, they shape it however they want, and then they slip the rubber hose over it and put it in the oven to form its shape. I'm not too concerned about areas like over here that are not in the bend. I just want to heat up the bend to get it malleable, and then we'll plunge it into the cold ice water here. That way it can cool down and hold its shape. Okay, it's definitely hot. Now we're going to dunk it into the ice water. I haven't done this one yet because I want to heat them up separately instead of trying to possibly lose any heat from heating this one up and then this one cools down. So I'm going to heat this one up first like I did, cool it, and then I'm going to heat this one up and then cool it. Okay, let's heat this one up now. Okay, that's nice and hot. We'll go ahead and we'll just dunk the whole thing in the cold water and we'll leave it there for a little bit. It's been sitting in there for a few minutes. Let's take it out. Let's go ahead and pull out the copper wire and see if it held its shape. Well, damn. A little bit. It might just be this rubber line I'm using. Since it did not hold its shape, we're going to bend it past where we actually want it to go on both axes. We're going to set the oven to 350 degrees. Let's get it on in here. Our timer is up. It's been in the oven for 40 minutes. Let's pull it out. There we go. We'll go ahead, put it in the cold water. So I left it in the ice water for about 10 minutes. Let's go ahead and pull it out and let's see what happens. Well, I definitely think it formed because I'm having a harder time getting out now. Alright. Well, it definitely formed a lot better this time. After being in the oven at 350, there is no burn marks on it or anything. Now we can test fit it back on there. As you can see, the bend looks pretty clean. There's definitely no kinks in it, and there's no kinks in this bend either. And it's looking good. Now stay with me here, we're going to do it again. I'm pretty sure the reason it was a little bit challenging was just because of this specific coolant line I picked that had silicone and has multiple layers and a higher temperature and it was harder to form. We're gonna do it again with some heater hose from an auto parts store. So it took 6 different stores, but I finally found some 3/8 heater hose and we're gonna try this again with the heat gun. This right here is the shape that we want, but to try and make it work, we're actually going to take our bends just a little bit farther. That way when the copper wire comes out, they kind of actually fall back into position. As you can see, the benefit to the copper wire here, I don't have to try and hold it in position at all. Maybe accidentally get my hand hot, and I don't have to use zip ties or clamps to try and hold the bend compared to those copper spring tube benders. Dunk that bend in the ice water. Let's go ahead and heat up this other bend. Back in the ice bath we go. And we'll leave it in here for a little while. It's been in the ice water for a little bit. Let's go ahead and get it out. Now I will say trying to pull the copper wire out while it's at this angle would be extremely challenging. So we'll straighten it out fully. And then hopefully it just holds its bends. There we go, it's coming out. Nice. That worked great. It held its bends and it went back into position. Let's go ahead and get this red one off and we will test fit this one. It's a little long, so I gotta trim it. Gotta trim. There we go. That looks great. I call this a huge win. We successfully molded 2 different types of coolant lines into the shape we wanted without any kinks in them. The heat gun will work on any auto parts store-bought rubber line. And if you're going to use something a little bit fancier like I did here, I definitely recommend you put it in the oven. Now I need your guys' opinion. Should I put some heat sleeve on this coolant line since it's pretty close to the exhaust manifold? I will be using a heat shield, but it's still pretty close regardless. Let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor. Drop a like, drop a comment down below, and subscribe for future videos. Y'all have a good one now. Stay boosted. Peace out.